Hi, we're recording. It's take 8. The last one was great, but you'll have to go over to the to the Patreon to find it. Zach's here.
I'm here. Hello.
Michael's here.
Hello.
Michael, we haven't really engaged with you too much, and we're 8 recordings in. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
I mean, not really. I could mention the story that I was gonna tell earlier, but then didn't have time to because my mic cut out. Where when you were looking for the internet password to start the recording, it reminded me of the time how when I was a sophomore in high school, they fired our librarian, and then when I was a senior in high school, they had not hired a new one yet, so the whole library was just constantly empty. And I just decided I'm bored, I'm gonna dig through her desk. And I found the password to the entire like library catalog for the school. And so I was the only one who could access the school library catalog. And I took the opportunity to delete several books about America. And then I gave them to the foreign exchange students as gifts to take back to their country with them because they were no longer in the catalog, so no one would miss them.
Th I love this story so much, and that's such like a PG Disney Channel
Yeah.
thing to do. when
Yeah.
you
Yep.
when you have unregulated access to the library catalog. That's a very
Yeah.
respectable thing to do.
Yep, yep. I gave them some souvenirs so that they could teach their country about our country, and I don't regret it. I think it was very fun.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Hmm.
a good time. There are benefits to going to a high school that's running out of money when you happen to be going there. Mhm.
Michael, I'm so glad that you're here. I understand that you have a theory for us.
I do. I have one. I have a whole theory.
That's amazing. I'm
And
so excited.
As am I.
all right, so this one actually somewhat comes from some comments on a recent video I did where a couple different people suggested this, and it was something I'm like, I've never thought of that before, but it kind of like I don't want to say I believe it, but it kind of makes some sense, and I think it'll be a very interesting discussion.
All right, I'm excited.
So,
If you want more information, sometimes when you come on the show, you do companion videos on your channel. That's over on Michael
yes.
Talks About Stuff. Um, I will not say whether you will be doing companion videos, so you have to watch all the most recent videos to figure out if there is one.
Yes,
I o-
that's
I
the
o-
only way to do it.
yeah, I have a playlist that's only like 50 videos long at this point. You're just going to have to sort through that
Yeah.
and see if you can find which one this came from.
Yep. In the comments below, comment a Michael Talks About Stuff video that this video references.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Tom, before we get into it, I forgot to promote. I released an instrumental version of my album. It's in the description. Check it out, please, please, please.
Hey.
It's
Yeah.
it's really good, and a friend of ours may have used them in a video essay recently.
Yeah.
It's been alleged by many people that my songs are featured prominently in a really good video essay.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
also, I'm in a charity bike ride. If you want to support, you can. If you want to share it, you can. If you want to meme about it, you can. That's the
It's
stuff in
also,
the description.
that's also in the description.
All right. Let's do the
Those
theory.
let's get right into it.
All right. So the starting clue is John wondered where Ghost was now. Had he gone back to or had he gone to Castle Black, or was he running with some wolf pack in the woods?
Ooh.
He had no sense of the dire wolf, not even in his dreams.
Uh, he,
He had no sense of the dire wolf, not even in his dreams. It made him feel as if part of himself had been cut off.
all right.
And that's
That is
yeah.
ominous.
Yeah. The whole quote is even a little bit sadder, but that's the relevant part.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I've actually been rereading the series, and I'm in Storm of Swords now, and I actually just passed this part. This
Okay.
is when he's south of the wall with Ygritte and Stir and all them.
I can't believe you
Yeah.
left me in your reread. Then again, I like read 2 books in between each book, so maybe it's not surprising that you left me in your reread.
Also, I listen to the books at like 2.1x speed.
By
So
noted rap god Roy Trees.
yeah, oh Pitaya. Mhm. Mhm.
Is
I'm now
Pitire coming at you at supersonic speed?
I'm now just
Anyway,
imagining oh Petire in like a very quick sped up Mickey Mouse style voice.
uh, I gotta get
Because
off this bit. Let's get off this bit.
yeah. All right, all right.
Oh my god. All right. So there's some interesting things to talk about in here, Zach.
There's a lot of So for a little bit of text here, there is a lot here practically with the 2 characters of John and Ghost, and there's a lot of implied magic in this sentence as well, because
Mhm.
we know that dreams and dire wolves are connected, because Bran is a wolf in his dreams. Arya is in control of her dire wolf in her dreams, presumably. Uh, and so it's not irrational that John, when he dreams of Ghost, is controlling Ghost, and that's just something that Starks can do in their dreams. And of course, we talk about the dreamers and the sleepers and all that with Bran's magic all the time. The dream aspect of it is a huge aspect of the magic, which makes me think that there's something like deeply upsettingly wrong in this scene.
Mm. Can you expand on that a little bit?
We know things can mess with magic and your ability to use magic to some extent in A Song of Ice and Fire. That there are places and things and means by which your connection to magic might be disrupted or permanently severed by some sort of mean. That is discussed to some extent. Now, there's obviously, if you have the ability to skin change into an animal and that animal is dead, you can no longer skin change into that animal. But we have. I'm struggling to think of maybe Tom. Do we have any examples of someone else who has quasi magical abilities who at a point in time is less in tune with them or less able to rely on them?
I've been trying to think of them. I I can't think of a time when a person has been cut off from their working powers or any kind of magic powers in the
And
series except for
let's
Sansa, I guess.
Well, Sansa, yeah, Sansa loses her direwolf directly and can't warg a direwolf. Uh, yeah,
Hmm.
it seems so intuitive to me that there are ways for you to get bumped out of being able to use your magic. And yet at the same time, I think you're right. I don't think we have a very direct example that we see. I think some of that stuff is implied in A World of Ice and Fire and in Fire and Blood as well. That there's somebody who may have once had some like really great powers who I think of Magor a lot, who might have had some mystical things going on, but was like pathetic and impotent by the end. And that might have been from if you believe he's created by magic, it may have been like a form of decay or something like that. But we don't
The
see that happened at all.
the
We
ins-
hear about it.
the insane things in this fandom that we say so casually.
Oh, yeah, yeah, like I've just accepted that he's a homunculus. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's the
we're
most
assuming everybody in the
reasonable.
audience is cool with that.
It's like Occam's razor, but it's George R. R. Martin's razor. It is the most obvious, reasonable thing based on what George R. R. Martin has set up.
Oh
Yes.
my god, Martin's razor. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we do need to start using that a little bit more.
Yeah,
Just be like, yeah, this theory is supported by Martin's razor.
the
Yeah.
most complicated solution is most likely to be true. Yeah.
The most
But the,
foreshadowed option.
Oh
yeah, yeah.
man.
So
Oh
you
my
guys
god.
are hitting on the correct thing. It is what is cutting John off from Ghost is the important part of this that we're trying to get to.
Well, I mean, I assume it's the wall.
Ding, yeah. The wall's magic seems to break the warging connection. And
Oh,
this
we
is
totally
usually
we totally forgot about something that does seem to mess with somebody's connection.
Hang on
You
one second.
can
One thing at a time. Hang on.
sorry. Well, you're writing that, and sorry to cut you off, Michael,
No,
but
no, hang on.
oh yeah, yeah,
I
go ahead.
need the
oh,
line again. Hang on.
sorry.
The
Go ahead.
walls the wall's magic the wall's magic breaks the warging connection.
Breaks working connection. All right, Zach. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Queen Alisane presumably has like a psychic connection with her dragon because we're shown in House of the Dragon that that is the case, and it's heavily implied in the World Book and in Fire and Blood. Good Queen Alisane can't get her dragon to fly past the wall, even though she wants to,
Yep.
and that should be enough for the dragon to fly past.
Yeah, but
Yep.
that
Uh
doesn't read to me as disrupting the warging power, but disrupting the dragon, right? It's something that's warding away the dragon, not warding away like the warg magic, if that makes sense.
I guess a little bit.
Depends on what you think dragons are, right? If you think dragons are by their nature a consciousness merge and the wall breaks those, then it would make a lot of sense for the dragon to not want to go across. Like the whole three heads of the dragon potentially being three different merged souls in some way or another, right?
Yeah,
That,
and we haven't seen it up close what a dragon does when its rider is killed. We get a little bit of that in Fire and Blood, but not it's not seen very up close, and we don't have like none of our direct sources of testimony. We're like, oh, I was right there, and I saw the dragon like do X, Y, and Z.
yeah,
I would love to know if there's like a chapter where like we get that in the show when when Danny dies, Drogon just like freaks out and melts the Iron Throne. But I don't think George was exactly intending that ending.
yeah.
Uh, I think you're right. If part of having a dragon is merging your consciousness with it somewhat, that could be read as a disruption to like the merge of the consciousness that the human, the magic user, wants to go there and the dragon is incapable.
Yep. This is entirely a theory that I do have on my channel, but it is not the one that we're talking about today. It's not the
Mm.
dragons affected by the wall. But I was gonna say too, this is usually used as the evidence that the wall breaks warging connection, but there's actually in like the unused drafts found by G Steph, there was another scene where basically John is having a wolf dream where he's inside of Ghost and he can't sense his brothers beyond the wall until he goes all the way through the tunnel and like sticks his nose through the iron bars and then he can get like a little sense of them on the other side of the wall. So when Bran is beyond the wall, he can't sense him until he's like poking his nose out. So basically that kind of confirms that yeah, the wall does break the warging connection there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this has not to do with dragons and the wall breaking warging connections, but there is another incident of often speculated warging and the wall could be in play in some fashion.
Um, is is it? Well, actually, here's something interesting. I'm not sure if this is what you're driving at, but there are a number of skin changers. Varamir and Orel both come to mind, who warg birds, who warg flying animals. Um,
Yeah,
and it does not appear that it is in any way common for those to be used as scouts south of the wall.
right. Do you remember what and this is also a bit of a tangent, but it's also related to the thing we were just talking about the consciousness merge breaking up when you cross over the barrier. And I think this actually is a hint at what would happen to a dragon if it's a three-headed consciousness merge, so we might as well just go down this road quickly. Do you remember what happens to the one time Varamir tries to fly a bird over the wall as he's warging it?
I don't. I don't know that I was aware that that happened.
Yeah, in the battle for Castle Black, Orell is still inside his eagle because he's died. So now there's the two heads merged in the eagle, and the eagle hates John, right? So we know there's two heads in there. And Varamir takes control of it, which kind of makes it a three-headed consciousness merge, and he tries to fly it over the wall. And it bursts into flames. And it hurts Varamir so badly he goes insane with like pain and terror and just runs away from the battle.
Oh, I thought I thought that that the I thought that the bird got shot with a fire arrow.
Nope. Melisandre takes like slyly takes credit for it in a way that makes me think she really didn't do it. Everyone's like, "Oh, that must have been Melisandre. That must have been Melisandre," and she's just like, "Yeah, the Lord of Light has fiery talons. You never know where he's gonna strike." Which
Interesting.
is, yeah, she kind of does the whole God works in mysterious ways thing. Which, if she actually like, and here's the thing, right? If she could spontaneously combust other beings at a distance with her mind, she would probably do that, more often. I don't think that's a power that she has. So I think it was the barrier of the wall when a three-headed consciousness flew over it, bursting it into flames, which is kind of why I think the dragons won't fly over the wall.
You think that the wall sets warged creatures on fire?
Well, only in this specific case because it had two souls in there and it didn't have anything, like it didn't have nowhere for them to go. I think that could have been what happened. I don't know for sure, but like
What if the
I
wall
don't
just
know why
explodes
else.
birds?
Say
What's
again?
up?
What if the wall just explodes birds and that's the only? Have we ever seen a bird fly over the
Yeah.
wall that wasn't one of? It
Yeah.
wasn't one of Maester Aemon's. Maester Aemon is like bomb-proofed his birds, his crows, and every other bird flying over the wall just fucking explodes.
We don't know for sure. That could definitely be the case.
This is my new theory. The wall explodes birds. Thank you, everybody. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
but
I
so
love
that
this
was it.
idea. I think it's
Yeah.
insane, but that doesn't mean I don't
Yeah.
love it.
That was a bit of a tangent, but not entirely off topic, weirdly,
Okay, do
It,
you want me to write any of this down?
no, we didn't hit any dings there, but we're like fairly adjacent to a ding, I would think, if
Right,
you
shoot.
just keep talking about birds.
Birds. Bloodraven? Birds? Euron. Birds.
Ooh, so,
Three-eyed crow. Birds. Sansa.
Uh, you're-
so
Go ahead.
are we thinking of birds in context of warging or the wall?
Yeah, both,
So
sort of.
Varamir we know can warg into a bird, and we
Is
know that there are several, I believe, wildlings who can warg into birds and use them to spy on people.
Yeah, is there any notable bird though that is potentially warged at
Oh
times?
yes,
Yeah.
Mormont's crow is
Hell
warged
yeah.
Yeah. Many
allegedly.
people many people believe this is the ding. Many people believe Mormont's raven is warged by Bloodraven. And if you want to mention some reasons why, there might be a couple of little dings that will be helpful in there. Um
The wonderful bird flies onto Jon Snow's shoulder and influences an election.
Yeah, ding. Mormont's crow seems to want John, or seems to support John in the Lord Commander election. Or Mormont, yeah, Mormont's Raven seems to
Bir-
support John in his election.
Always important to get the bird endorsement.
Yeah. Is there anything else weird that the Raven says uh, about, John potentially even?
John King, Jon Snow.
Ding! Ding!
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
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 just call him
yeah.
King.
He calls Jon Snow the king. or yeah, I think I have the quote here. Let me see. It says, y- yes, Horn, King, and Snow, John Snow. And then John thinks that was queer. The bird had never said his full name before, as best John could recall. So he calls Jon Snow king.
Gorn, King, Snow, Jon Snow.
Yeah. So the Raven seems to support John for Lord Commander and might know John is the rightful heir to the throne, potentially. Right? Um so
The wild
now
stuff we say in this fandom.
right.
I
So
like how
now
every step of the way of this theory, if you have never heard of a Song of Ice and Fire theory before, you've like stepped into a 300 level class.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't
I
worry.
still remember. Yeah, or go ahead.
Don't worry. The next one's gonna be for you. All right. If that's you, the next one's for you. Okay. I promise.
I still remember when we were recording a previous episode, which you guys should definitely check out about Bloodraven and Euron, where I was talking. I remember my little brother and his friends came over near where I was recording, and one of them like poked their head in as I said the line. And this is not the first time that Bran has eaten people.
And if you know only the show, that's going to be
Yeah.
surprising. But
Yep.
if you're deep in theory, even if you've only read the books like once, you might not have picked up on that. But if you're deep in theory world, you're like, oh yeah, you're like at least once, if not three times.
Yeah. Exactly. Um. So okay. We've got some things on the board now. Do you see any problem with what we have on the board so far? Is there any contradictions
Well, yes,
Yeah,
in
the
here?
I've thought about this before. That Mormont's Raven, if it's being warged, is being warged on two sides of the wall. Furthermore, many people think that the White Walker magic is related to warging magic, and the zombies also exist south of the wall and continue to do their zombie stuff.
Yeah. And yes, and that's very interesting stuff. And I think we talked about this in the end of uh a
Evangelion.
different video that we recorded where we talked about how it's possible that the reason the whites are able to do that on the south side of the wall is because they were essentially invited in by Lord Commander Mormont.
Truly phenomenal pitch, by the way.
Yeah,
Incredible theory.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, so this one, if it could be solved, right? This whole problem could be solved if Bloodraven, as the former Lord Commander, can just break the wall's magic and warg the bird on the other side of the wall. But the ding is that what, as you said, Bloodraven is on the opposite side of the wall from Mormont's crow in almost every instance of the crow saying or doing something suspicious. So
Yes.
you could put a ding for Bloodraven is on the opposite side of the wall, like directly under the wall, breaking the warging connection.
Opposite side of the wall. Whenever the we'll say
From
most of the
yeah, most
time
of the time.
the raven is being worked. Hang on. So I think I see what you're implying here.
Yeah.
You are
Somebody,
implying that there is a different individual warging the raven.
Yes, this is an alternative theory as to someone else who could be in the bird who is not
yo,
Bloodraven.
yo, that's how Maester Aemon doesn't walk into anything. He doesn't. He has a thousand eyes and none.
Oh, that'd be
Damn.
great. That would be great. Oh man,
Oh my lord. Oh,
have you?
Tom, are we having trouble getting the screen? Oh, there we go.
I fixed it. I fixed
Yeah.
it. I fixed it. Nobody panic.
Uh, so someone else that's immediately thought I had. Yeah, if somebody if the wall has some sort of like anti-magic at a range, and you had to do the magic from within sort of thing, a thousand eyes and none, somebody else must be controlling the raven.
Yes. And yeah. Yep. And now there's something that Bloodraven does say to Bran about ravens that is interesting and may be relevant. It's something that is like weirdly overlooked for how crazy I think the implications are. Like the fandom does not talk about this line enough, in my opinion.
Okay. Ravens. I don't recall what Blood Raven says specifically.
Yeah. Zach, do you have any memory of any of what happens when Bran, like when Bloodraven is teaching Bran to warg the ravens?
I don't remember this
Oh,
well.
oh,
It's
I know.
been
Oh,
we've been
sorry.
over a decade since I read that book.
I know. Blood Raven says that ravens contain the souls of old children of the forest.
Ding. Um, Let me pull up the line here. So basically, Bran is told like, and this is not the part you need to write down. I'll let you know when it is. But Bran is told like, "Oh, how do I do this?" And Bloodraven basically is like, "Well, a horse that's been ridden before will be easier to ride than a wild horse, and all of these birds have been ridden before, so just pick one and ride it." And then Bran gets into the bird, and he's flying around, and he can sense someone else inside the bird. And he's like, "Whoa, what the heck is this?" And he gets back to Bloodraven, and he says, "Hey, there was someone else in that bird." And Bloodraven says, "Yes, a woman of those who sing the song of the earth. Long dead, yet a part of her remains, just as a part of you would remain in summer if your boy's flesh were to die upon the morrow. A shadow on the soul, she will not harm you." And so then you could write this down. Do all the birds have singers in them? All, Lord Brynden said. And then he says, you don't necessarily need to write the rest of this, but he goes on to say, "It was the singers who taught the first men to send messages by raven. But in those days, the birds would speak the words. The trees remember, but men forget. And so now they write the messages on parchment and tie them round the feet of birds who have never shared their skin." So basically, all of the old first men kings, it seems, or all of, or at least a large number of them, used to just share the skins of these birds, and then they would warg into them, fly the message to wherever they needed it, and then say the message. So, yeah.
You're describing dial-up.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That and all the birds are potentially like the giant hive mind that everyone thinks goes into the weirwoods. Because that's the other weird thing about this, right? Is like, I don't know if we know anyone actually goes into the weirwoods when they die, if all of the dead children of the forest are like mind jumping around to different ravens. Because if she's been long dead, ravens don't live nearly as long as children of the forest. So the implication seems to be that they like go into some like mental state where they can just jump around and live in birds for the rest of time, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Because he
Yeah.
says long dead. What is the lifespan of
Yeah.
a raven? 15 years? 20 years?
Yeah, even if it's a few decades, like children of the forest live for hundreds of years. So like it's shorter than that by like factor of 10, it would seem,
Yeah,
roughly.
and well, we established many times that there's not a lot of children of the forest left. There's way more
Right.
birds than there are children of the forest. Um,
Right.
if it was just the if only recently deceased children of the forest could like continue to live on in birds, they all birds wouldn't have children in them.
Exactly. Exactly. So it seems like the old first men and wargs and children of the forest, instead of going into the weirwoods, might go into birds.
Yeah.
So that is a big part of this theory.
Go into birds and hop around. Go into birds and
So,
they hop around.
so we're looking for someone dead who is potentially in possession of the same knowledge that the Raven shows, but is not still notably alive and
Oh
on
my
the opposite
god.
side
Oh
of the
It's
wall.
fuck!
Benjen.
Oh my fucking
Benjen is the
god!
Ding!
Is
bird.
that fucking
Ding! Ding!
Benjen Stark?
Ding!
Let's
From
go!
downtown!
Let's
Getting the idea.
go!
Benjen would have all of the information that this bird seems to have
Oh
and would
my
definitely support
god!
Jon Snow.
Oh
So,
my god!
are
Benjen
you
Stark
ready?
is this fucking bird!
Are you ready for another quote from Clash of Kings
Yes.
when they are beyond the wall looking for Benjen? Yes, said Jon, but what if he's dead? Mormont asked, not unkindly. Jon nodded reluctantly. Dead, the raven said. Dead, dead. He may come to us anyway, the old bear said, as Other did and Jafer Flowers. I dread that as much as you, Jon, but we must admit the possibility. Dead, his raven cawed, ruffling his wings. Its voice grew louder and more shrill. Dead. So, when they bring up Benjen being dead, the raven starts screaming, dead, dead, dead. If that's Benjen in the raven,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
if he's now back as a bird, he's like, stop trying to find my fucking corpse. I'm right
yeah,
here.
I'm dead, yeah,
Hey, I'm
yeah.
squawking here.
I'm squawking
Um,
here!
uh,
Have you been holding on
and
to that one for a little
No,
while, you
that
motherfucker?
was spontaneous.
Let's go! Top notch! Hey, I'm
uh,
squawking here! Yeah!
um,
I like how we've now given like a thick Brooklyn accent to Benjen Stark.
yeah, uh, and so the other thing that I instantly, when I was like first made aware of this idea, right? This was first brought up, and I was thinking about it. I was like, huh, what if like was the crow seen at a point when Benjen was still alive doing anything weird? And the thing that I had forgotten is how quickly Benjen disappears
Yeah.
when Jon gets to the wall.
Yep. He
Like
like
it's Jon's first chapter at the wall. Benjen's
yeah.
like gone by halfway through Jon 3 of A Game of Thrones, I think it is. Um and we don't see the Raven until the end of that chapter.
Dead,
So,
dead,
yeah.
dead.
Yeah. So Tyrion midway through Jon 3 mentions that your uncle is too long away. And so that happens, and then at the end of John 3 is when John gets the note that Bran is going to be okay, and, let's see. Yeah, and that's basically the bird is on Mormont's raven, and John notices he has the bird for the first time, and the raven is, screaming, "Live, live, live," when
Oh
it
my
says that Bran's
fucking
going to live.
god. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, let's see. Oh, yeah, and there's another time,
My god. The entire fucking fandom has been screaming that the wrong Stark is inside of a bird.
yeah, like, it it's questionable if Benjen had any warging abilities, but, like, all of the Starks seem to have at least some level of that gene, right? So if he did, him jumping into a bird isn't that unreasonable.
Yeah, also my man is first ranger. He could have been fucking scouted by Bloodraven 20 years ago.
Yeah, right? Right? Um,
My man could have been
and so I
taking warging lessons for the past 15 years and no one would know.
yeah, yeah, he could have been inside of a bird scouting and just keeping it to himself the same way Rob did when he would like stare at the fire and actually be living in Greywind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um so
Dead.
I think this conversation comes when John has just tried to desert and he's talking to Mormont about why he needs to stay at the wall. And John says, I have no place, John wanted to say. I'm a bastard, I have no rights, no name, no mother, and now not even a father. The words would not come. I don't know. I do, said Lord Commander Mormont. The cold winds are rising, Snow. Beyond the wall the shadows lengthen. Cotter Pike writes of vast herds of elk streaming down to the south and east towards the sea, and mammoths as well. He said one of his men discovered huge misshapen footprints not 3 leagues from Eastwatch. Rangers from the Shadow Tower have found whole villages abandoned, and at night Sir Denny said that they see fires in the mountains. Huge blazes that burn from dusk till dawn. Horan Halfhand took a captive in the depths of the gorge, and the man swears Mance raiders massing all of his people, some in some new secret stronghold he's found. To what end the gods only know. Do you think your Uncle Benjen was the only ranger we'd lost this past year? Ben-jen! The raven squawked, bobbing his head, bits of egg dribbling from his beak. Benjen! Benjen!
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Is this
Yeah.
original, dude? This is
Yeah,
oh
this is
100%.
So I
yeah,
haven't heard
this is
this
all
brought up
lining up pretty
before.
clear.
Yeah, so I put out a video about how weird it is that Bloodraven is able to warg this bird on the opposite side of the wall. And then a couple people in my comments brought up, oh man, what if it's Benjen in the bird? And I was like, huh, I'd never seen that suggested before. And then I started looking into it and I'm like, oh dang, I gotta bring this one to the nerds because this is gonna be an interesting discussion.
Oh, that fucking rocks.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit. I'm looking at more Raven quotes here. I'll be back in just a second. Yo, this is great.
Right?
I'm sold. Immediately, as soon as you said somebody's ghost is possessing it, and who else would know that? I'm like, oh my god, yeah. And he's saying, king,
Yeah.
he's the king.
Yep.
Yeah, from Benjen knows about who John really is, who his parents are. That's correct.
Yeah.
He would have been king. Yeah. So
Yep.
he's not shouting out anything that is untruthful there.
Right, exactly. Like Benjen is one of the few people. I also had someone in the comments suggest Liana because of how they mentioned she was half a horse,
So
and
now
that
she's
could
half a
imply she
bird.
was a warg. Yeah, if she warged into something, and if like they're jumping around between crows after death, who knows? Maybe they can jump from a horse into a crow. But I think Benjen is much more likely because of the proximity and as we've the down low been scouting with ravens, and that could be how he was so good at being a ranger.
I Yeah, I just entirely buy this from start to finish.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
sweet.
as normally happens when you come on our show. I'm just sold, and I have very little else to say except, yep, this is canon in my mind now that the bird is benching.
Yeah,
And now in future episodes to get to the like 300 level analogy, we're gonna say, and the Mormon's crow, who we, as we all know, is Benjen Stark, and then
yeah,
people are gonna feel like, wait, well, huh?
Holy shit.
yep.
Wait a minute. I have a hole to poke in this.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a hole that we can easily fill and that I think makes this way more interesting.
Go for it.
This is there is a counterpoint on the screen right now, that being this one. If Benjen Stark died, how the fuck did he get in the Raven?
They went north ranging.
Who did?
Mormont and his crow.
You think
He
that
did go north at one point, but
but not
the first
until
time,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Well, the first time the Raven says something sketchy is definitely before that, and it's south of the wall. So
Uh
yeah, that is an interesting hole,
I
but
Well,
this is
you could
very
be.
easily fillable. Let me go ahead and fill this bullshit. This would imply that Benjen Stark died south of the wall,
hmm,
which
That's
yeah.
is
possible.
scary and like he got
Well,
back through the night fort and died like some terrible death in the bowels of the night fort or something.
That's possible. It's also possible you can have more than one soul in a bird because we were talking about that with Varamir, right?
Right.
So it could be that either there's more than one soul inside Mormont's Raven, or that it is containing multiple souls right now, and sometimes Benjen takes over. In which case, I would love a chapter from the point of view of the Raven.
I I
Give
just
me the crow chapter, George.
yeah. I just thought of something else kind of interesting. Okay, what if the reason that those two dead Night's Watch members were able to pass through the wall wasn't because they were invited by Mormont, but it's because they had sworn their oaths to the Night's Watch, and therefore the wall's magic didn't stop them.
Ooh.
But then why would John not be
Oh
able to
yeah,
walk across the wall?
you're right, and also Cold Hands should be able to as well.
Well, Cold
So
Hands, I
that's
I think it's reasonable to imagine that Cold Hands operates in his own rule set. He might have his own different
possibly.
like problems. He's
Yeah,
he's
that's
his
true.
own thing.
Also, the two then those two whites wouldn't have needed to like wait to be brought across by Night's Watch members. They could have just walked across and attacked Mormont themselves, but they waited out in the snow and pretended to be dead until he brought them over. So yeah, that is interesting. If Benjen did get into that Raven, I would imagine it's something along the lines of like upon his death, he jumped into a raven and or a weirwood, and then like jumped from that raven and that weirwood into the the Lord Commander's raven. But yeah, we don't really know at all how that works. But like that is kind of what's implied by the fact that all of the children of the forest are hanging out in ravens, even though they're said to go into the weirwoods when they die.
You're right. We don't focus on that enough.
Yeah, no, that's like such an overlooked line in my opinion. Because like that also means not only were they spying on the first men with all of the prayers and stuff, like every message that they sent was spied on. Like every bird is just a spy for the old gods and the children of the forest.
I got it. Here's an interesting one. The woman licked at thin lips. This is our place. Craster keeps us safe. Better to die free than live a slave. Slave, muttered the raven. Slave.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Man, this series is good.
it really is. Yeah, yeah. And I saw someone say this. I don't know if this quote is real or not, but I saw it mentioned that someone apparently asked George, "Are there any other magical animals in A Song of Ice and Fire besides the direwolves?" And he laughed and said, "All of the animals in A Song of Ice and Fire are magic."
Uh, that's just actually completely believable.
Yeah, yeah. Like especially with this line, like it certainly seems to be the case.
Yo, I have an interesting. I'm sorry, I'm just reading theories on Mormont's Raven right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have a phenomenal theory that that the Raven is not saying corn, he is saying horn. Uh,
Oh,
because and people are speculating that this lines up with the horn blasts of the Night's Watch. Because on some
oh,
occasions he says corn once when Rangers are returning, corn twice before wildlings attack, and corn 3 times before the battle at the Fist.
Oh, that's kind of genius.
That's kind of
that is interesting.
it's
Yeah.
it's preposterous, but I do like it.
I is that the corn code theory? I don't know if that's the exact one, but I've definitely heard a very old theory that was on like the was it like the Westeros forums or whatever it was, um, where someone like broke down. You could tell what the Raven's trying to say by how many times it says corn. Like it was some sort of Morse code, but it was the corn code.
That's amazing.
I have wonderful news, by the way. I did some Googling. 10 years ago, a deleted account on Reddit suggested that Benjen is the Raven, and then the subreddit talked him out of it. And I have to say,
Okay.
this guy was onto some good shit. Like, this guy was, what is that, like, Jesus comic? Like, they hated Jesus because he spoke the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if that was
Yeah.
you, in the comments below.
We
Yeah.
love you. You were correct.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. So
man.
this one is one that like I am not myself fully sold on, but I haven't yet come across like a really good reason to suggest that it couldn't be the case.
Like,
So
nah, I am not. I don't know how you have not managed to sell yourself on this theory, but I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got me.
sure.
yeah, I mean it might just be like the and this is a thing I think the entire fandom has to deal with whenever new theories pop up, which is why they always get shot down on Reddit, is like you have like years and years of assuming something is one way, and then it takes like an absurd amount of evidence to convince you it might be the other way, even though like the original one doesn't have that much evidence either.
Yeah, we've
Like,
spent way more time talking about a theory than we have supporting a theory.
yeah, yeah, like Bloodraven being in the bird was just everyone's best guess. That was like generally the hive mind came to the conclusion that that was most likely. And then now 10 years have gone by and everyone's gone from that's most likely to no, that's just what's happening.
What a wonderful tragedy for that to be Benjen.
Right? It's just so,
Man,
like, interesting that,
that's
like,
so
Benjen's
good.
just watching over John, helping him become Lord Commander, all this stuff. Like, it makes certain scenes read a lot more interesting
Hmm.
than it being Bloodraven.
Oh my God! Wait, there's a couple of scenes where the Raven bites John or bites Mormont.
Ooh, I wonder
Yeah,
if there's any clues in those.
yeah. I wonder if in those scenes we could read it as Benjen being like, "Hey, don't say that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, or hey, that's important."
Right,
Let me see if I can find him. Hang on, I'm
right.
gonna go to search by
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, I have it open as well, I'll take a look here. Yeah. Oh, man.
Here's
Like
a, here's a fun fact. The word corn appears 236 times in the books. It's a good Jeopardy category.
yeah. Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, this would be it'd be an interesting, like, trivia game to be like, "Okay, how many times does this word appear in the books? How many times does this word appear in brand chapters?"
Beg pardon, shall I fetch the Lord some breakfast? Corn, cried the raven. Corn, corn. Roast raven, John suggested. I
Oh.
three corns and one roast raven, my lord. Very good, my lord. Man, okay, let's see. Samuel Tarley turned up a few moments later, clutching a stack of books. No sooner had he entered than Mormon's raven flew at him, demanding corn.
Hmm.
Oh my God! Raven did its best to peck through his palm. Sam yowled, and the bird flapped off when corn scattered.
I do also love the fact that, like, this might just be a bird that really loves corn, but at the same time, like, there's so many theories about what it means every time the bird says corn.
What the fuck? Okay, listen to this. Um, I will. Sam sounded relieved. My lord, if I might ask, I saw Gilly leaving. She was almost crying. Val sent her to plead for Mance once again. John lied. And then they talked for a while of Mance and Stannis and Melisandre and Ashai, until the raven ate the last corn kernel and screamed, "Blood!"
Hmm.
The fuck?
Yeah. Huh. There's this one where so I'm just trying to read the whole thing to get context here, but it's right before John says to him, "My lord," John said quietly as the woods closed in around them once more. "Craster has no sheep. nor any sons. So right in the paragraph before that, it ends by Ghost is crossing a river. And it said, Ghost swam, emerging on the bank with his white fur dripping brown. When he shook, spraying mud and water in all directions, Mormont said nothing, but the raven on his shoulder screech. And then John says, how Craster has no sheep nor any sons. So like the
Jesus
raven's,
fuck.
yeah, screeching at a very interesting point there. Huh.
Huh. Corn, screamed the raven from behind the lintel. Corn, corn. Wine for the septon and a plate for our first builder, John told Dollar's Head. Nothing for the bird.
Hmm.
It was until he said the words. Now he is our brother, one who can teach the boys more than swordcraft. It would not hurt them to learn a few words of the old tongue and something of the ways of the free folk. Free, the raven muttered. Corn, king.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's a weird one.
Captain Celador drank some wine. Othel Yarwick stabbed a sausage with his dagger. Bowen Marsh sat red-faced. The raven flapped its wings and said, "Corn, corn, kill."
Huh. Oh. That's interesting. Okay, if two blasts means rangers, and he says essentially rangers kill, like
Oh my
how close
God.
is that? How close is that to when they stab John?
Um,
Is that a
it,
ways away?
it's a few chapters away, but he is in the correct company. That's for sure.
Yeah. I wonder if fucking Benjen's warging into the bird and hearing their mutiny plans or hearing that they're gonna kill John. He's just like, hey, these rangers are trying to kill you. Hmm.
Holy
Two blasts
shit.
is rangers returning, right?
Yes. No,
Or
one
okay.
blast is Rangers returning.
Okay, okay.
Two
So
blasts
two
is
blasts is
wildling.
wildlings. Okay, okay.
N-
So
I
then that
I definitely read it as like as acceptable.
yeah,
Like it
possibly.
still works. Like two blasts we say means wildlings. Two blasts could also mean attacking humans.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like a hostile
Your
human force.
enemies
Yeah.
enemies will kill you. Yeah. Yeah. This is one that I knew like we might get to the theory quickly, but it would definitely lead to very interesting discussion.
Yo, just a fantastic theory
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
has
this is
some
one
wild implications.
right. I very much look forward to the comments like adding either supporting or refuting evidence to this
Yeah,
one, having a little debate down there.
I'm very curious to see like people reread it with this in mind. Chapters where we have the Raven because it's just if I'm myself trying to rethink of like okay when would he be in the bird, when would he not be in the bird.
Right.
Bird.
Definitely after he's like after the ranging for sure. I think he's there fully, but this is a fascinating one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's I'm just scrolling through a search of Ice and Fire to see if there's any more like that really warrant
Nah,
being brought up.
nah. My man died south of the wall. You want to know how I fucking know? Because the zombies, we find the bodies of those two zombies just north of the wall. Chew, chew. Damn it. We find those zombies just north of the wall.
Yeah.
And Craster says, I haven't seen Benjen in 3 years. He never even makes it to Craster's Keep.
That is true. He doesn't make it to Craster's. It is definitely implied that those bodies did not die where they are found.
That's true.
Um, Sam notices that like there's not blood on the ground near them, even though they're covered in blood. Like nothing is right, and it's very obvious that they walked there and then were playing dead. But that doesn't mean that they didn't die close enough to the wall for Benjen to, like, woundedly, like, work his way back to the Night Fort or something, you know? Something like that.
He makes it back to the Night Fort, and then fucking what?
Gets through, and if he dies south of the wall, if that's what you're going for, he would, I guess, get through the Black Gate, die from his wounds before he can get back to Castle Black?
Kind of anticlimactic, because what,
Yeah, I don't think that that's the most likely,
like,
but
where is Benjen Stark's body? Is the because we
right.
have to find out, I assume.
Unless, like, Bran in the future, like, wargs into the freaking Raven and he's like, "Hey, my Uncle Benjen's in here." Like, the way
Hmm.
that he could tell there's a child of the forest in a bird, he gets into the Raven, he's like, "Oh, Uncle Benjen." Seems like another anticlimactic way, but it would, depending on how it happened, it could be a pretty crazy reveal if that's how he did it. Bran could feel his Uncle Benjen inside the bird as he tries to warg into him, and he suddenly knows that that's where Benjen is, and the reader's jaw just drops.
Actually,
Maybe when John's inside
whoa,
Ghost,
whoa,
it'll
jeez.
be sorry. Maybe when John is inside Ghost, it'll be. Did it suddenly become much louder? Is that
Yes,
what? I don't
yes.
know how that happened.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whoa.
uh, maybe in that instance, there'll be like a communication between Bran, Benjen, and John all inside of animals. So we'll get like animal communication scene where everybody is a Stark family member. Maybe the
Yeah.
pigeon that Ned's in can show up.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and the and the mockingbird that Sansa's gonna turn into.
Honestly, if you believe this theory, the odds that Ned warged a pigeon like shoot up a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, they go up
I was
real
just gonna
high.
say, this is like the like slightly one grade thinner of tinfoil version of Ned is a pigeon.
Like,
Um,
I don't think this is tinfoil at all. This is so well supported by the fifth book.
it kind of is. It
Yeah.
like it's at least close to Bloodraven being in there, if not as likely or more,
Right.
right?
We know that Bloodraven actively wargs things, but
Yeah, that's the
like
thing that gives him the nod.
but we also know that active warging across the wall isn't possible. Or
Right,
or
that's
or at
the
least
big
isn't
thing.
possible for John.
Right, right. There are, as I said, other explanations that are possible, like if the former Lord Commanders have that ability to pass the wall's magic in some way, that could be a thing. This is another quote that I just found on A Search of Ice and Fire. When John is being told about Ned, John could scarcely follow what he was saying. My lord, I don't understand. What's happened to my father? I told you to sit, Mormont grumbled. Sit, the raven screamed. And have a drink, damn you. That's a command, Snow. So the raven's telling him to sit down before he hears that Ned's been killed or
Man,
branded a traitor.
like it's I'm not gonna say it's true, but this is for sure the best Raven theory I've ever heard. This is at 100%, right? It's gotta
Yeah,
be.
it's way more fun than Bloodraven.
Yes.
Yeah, Bloodraven's already doing a bunch of bullshit, and Benjen is an act. Like, why would we keep mentioning Benjen every other fucking John chapter?
Right. And if
This
he's there, like right on his shoulder, the mental connection could be part of it.
this is the reason. This has always bothered me that we mention Benjen all the fucking time, even though he's really not relevant to the story. We talk about him all the time. We talk about him all the time because he's in the fucking room.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, there is the fact that the Raven kind of like is very instrumental in John saving Lord Commander Mormont from the Whites who were in Benjen's party. The
Oh
Raven
yeah.
screaming is the thing that gets John and Ghost's attention, and like that moment is the thing that like really sets John up on his path to being like in the good graces of the Lord Commander and eventually becoming the next Lord Commander. Um
Which, by the way, I don't know, doesn't necessarily seem like the kind of thing that Bloodraven would go all that far out of his way to do. Save G.R. Mormont.
yeah, right, that definitely seems a little bit more Benjen to me.
Huh. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I like this theory a lot.
I like this story better than Benjen's Secret Garden. It's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, out of all the Benjen theories, this might be the best one.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. My
Yeah.
God, he's just fucking
And
hanging out.
the bird is the one who screams "burn, burn, burn" to teach John how to kill the white, which maybe is something Benjen figured out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on a minute. I had hoped for some word of my father, said John says, and then father, taunted the old raven, bobbing his head as it walked across Mormont's shoulders. Father. Another potential interest the bird is taking in Ned.
Yeah. All right.
Hmm.
All right. In the comments, please do tell us some of your like interpretations of this. This is really good and really
Yeah.
cool, and I like it a lot.
yeah, Sam.
All right. I think that I'm gonna call it here. Thank you both
Yep.
very much for joining me.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was fun.
Yeah.
Zach, why don't you give us an outro?
Everybody in the comments, squawk repeatedly.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Everyone, give us your favorite Mormon's Raven quote. Mine is corn,
Corn.
corn,
Warn.
Jon Snow.
Like, subscribe, King, Corn King.
Share, share, icon, bell icon,
Ring bell
ring,
as well.
ring.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.